All right, it's the weekend edition, Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, the meme review, software releases, the websites by plebs or plebs. Joining us today, very special guest. He is the CSO of Blockstream and the creator of Infinite Fleet, Samson Mow. We're going to get him on the fun. Just a second, we're going to the numbers. Here we go. All right, we are currently at a block height of 679,613. Current Bitcoin price, 60,750. Chain rewrite days, 617. Total lightning capacity, 1,207.39. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, we're still below 10%, 9.80. Sats per dollar, still below 1,700, so not feeling too bad. 1,646. Ooh.
Oof. All overall bullish numbers. I just keep looking at, the gold versus Bitcoin market cap and just that war going on. It's crazy that gold had this 5,000 year head start and Bitcoin's just catching up. Absolutely crazy. Can't stop the honey badger. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the daily fail. All right. So today's daily fail. I mean, I kind of, I kind of like Tim Pool sometimes, but anyways, obviously the craze is Doge these days. Everybody is pretending like it's going to do something, but this is really, anyways. I bought some Doge because it's funny. It's at 45. It's at 45 cents. I think it's going to $1. I think it might go higher actually. All right, so oh yeah, you gotta love it when that happens, huh? Anyways, I wanted to pull up the chart of Doge, but I haven't signed into my TradingView account to show that. But essentially, you got to zoom out on a lot of these. And, the reality is that if you go take a look at what's going on, this is just, it's a meme coin. It was really just meant as a joke. And it's funny that people think that this is going to be anything other than that. So you got to be careful listening to those blue check marks. Don't go following them in, because if you bought it at 45 cents, you're already almost 40% down. Anyways.
Dude, yeah. It's funny because that's what my friend, or my real life friends were more interested in, right? And I've been telling them about Bitcoin for 5 years now, and then all of a sudden, Doge is in the news and Elon's just touting it out on Twitter. They're like, dude, I'm gonna buy Doge, and I'm like, man, if you knew what I knew about Bitcoin, you would sell everything you own and bought Bitcoin, right? So yeah, it's just a bunch of noise, man. That's just the way I see it. But I wanna get Samson's opinion on this.
Well, it's bad and it's cringy, but it's not the worst. There are worse things that you could shill, and there have been worse things that have been shilled on national TV to like millions of viewers or tens of millions of viewers. CNBC shilling Ripple. That's just atrocious.
CNBC is out with our Disruptor 50, a list of 50 companies shaking up their industry and reforming the way they operate. Number 28 on this year's list is no stranger to our fast money crypto audience. Ripple making its debut on the Disruptor 50 list.
Doge, it's not that bad. It is like if you look at all the different shit coins on a spectrum, it's like, yeah, it's like not maintained. It's a meme coin, and it's just kind of out there, and it's like closer to Bitcoin than, like, say, Ethereum is. At least it's organic and not a pump and up scam. So that's my take on it.
I think you're absolutely right, because it definitely wears its shit coiner on its sleeve. It doesn't hide the fact that it's anything else. It's like, look, we're a coin about Doge. That's it, and I completely agree. That is a good point. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the daily meme review.
All right, everybody. The meme for today is brought to us by a fellow plebe. You give a follow, Matt, at BTC Gandalf. I like that. Anyways, found this in my photo album. Props to whoever made it. It's effing funny. Wife, I talked to the bank. We're broke. Husband, he has a treasure. Epic meme. And because it has bank in it, I'm going to give it a very special score. I thought it was hilarious. I've definitely found myself in that situation, especially in the early days. Those overdraft fees, I feel like they're a badge of honor at this point. But anyways, I'm going to give it not the 20 Bolivars that I gave yesterday. I'm going to give it the new 20 Bolivars that were made in 2018. But the same thing is they're both completely worthless, like all fiat. Anyways, Phil, what would you give it?
Yeah, no, that's definitely a great meme. Absolutely funny. Yeah, you know what? Even if you don't know anything about Bitcoin, it's still funny and it'll still make you question things. So I'm gonna go with I'm going with an M5 Atom microcontroller.
Wow, great meme so far. And Samson, our guest, last but not least, what would you give that meme?
Well, it's about Bitcoin and banks, so you can't really go wrong with that design structure. So I'll give it 1,000 bits, not sats, bits.
Ooh. Oh, he's bringing in the bits narrative on this one. Nice. All right.
Interesting. Okay.
Like it.
I like it. Definitely. Phil, it's time for
The Daily News, sponsored by
Crypto Cloaks.
All right, everybody, the news for today. Check this out. Look, we talked about this. It was a couple months ago. It was February 4th specifically. There was a Bitcoin startup called ZBD that allowed Counter-Strike players to get paid in Bitcoin. And we have the perfect guest to talk about that because he is the CEO of Infinite Fleet. He created it. And with it, the game operates its currency. It's a side chain of Bitcoin. That's really cool. And my question to you, Samson, is what is the future of gaming and Bitcoin? I see it like an endless possibility. There's endless possibilities, but I'm sure you have more insight into that.
Sure. So I think the guys at ZBD or ZBD, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I think they're doing really cool work trying to integrate Bitcoin and Lightning stuff into the games. I'd say Satoshi Games, the guys behind Light Knight, are also doing cool stuff. They're doing NFTs on the Liquid network, and you pay with Lightning to trade those NFTs. But it's a really interesting model. They're doing some really innovative stuff. They're uploading their skins, I think, onto IFPS. So some people mistake IFPS with some shitcoin, but it's actually just a protocol for file storage, and it's the Filecoin guys that stacked a shitcoin on top of it. So there's an important delineation there. Like a lot of stuff gets a bad rep because of shitcoinery, but there are valid projects that build on tech that tries to be decentralized in some ways. So for Infinite Fleet, what we have is an MMO strategy game, and the currency of the game is a token on the Liquid network, a Bitcoin sidechain. And the ships are also NFT tokens on the Liquid sidechain too. So I'd say like all these projects are doing cool things, and it's still early days. So we don't really know which way is going to be the best way. I think while ZBD's stuff is interesting, it also kind of adds a very monetary element to the game where you're always thinking, like if I'm racing or I'm playing Counter-Strike, I'm earning Bitcoin. And I think that takes away from some of that immersion. And for like an FPS shooter, maybe it's okay. I'm in a death match and I'm going to win money. Just like, you play in a LAN tournament, you're going to win money. But for Infinite Fleet, it's kind of like a RPG almost. You want to be immersed in the universe, immersed in lore. It's heavily influenced by Star Trek and Ender's Game and a lot of like really strong sci-fi universes. So you don't want to be like playing in this sci-fi world, captaining a fleet of ships and thinking I'm going to kill this guy and earn some Bitcoin. So I think that's where we're more like a traditional game in which we want to submerge the monetary element. It's like, you buy a currency like ISK in EVE Online. You don't use dollars. It's kind of wrapped up in that lore element.
Yeah, I completely know what you're talking about because I've sunk in days, months, perhaps maybe a year of my life into RuneScape. The one of the most OG MMOs ever. I definitely want to check out Infinite Fleet. Sounds super cool. But Phil, you have any thoughts?
Just to touch on what Samson said, it is, to the point, you do want that fully immersive experience. You kind of end up having to make, that kind of like in-game money to keep everything within the ecosystem.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this though. I'm assuming that currency, is it then convertible out into Bitcoin, or does it really just live in that ecosystem?
So the idea is it is a permissionless crypto asset. So I wouldn't say it's a currency. I would reserve the term cryptocurrency for something that is fully decentralized. And I would also add on that it should be mined, not printed like proof of stake. So we just call it a crypto asset. It's just a crypto token, really. And in the game lore, INF, the name of that crypto asset, stands for Interplanetary Networked Finance Currency. So it's like it's like the Bitcoin of the universe. And in our lore, we try to reflect on that. And its origin is similar, and it is fully decentralized in the lore. But it is a finite capped resource, and it's not mined. It's earned by players playing the game. So you need to participate. And it's earned not through killing mobs like in World of Warcraft. You kill a fox and then you earn some gold, or you kill a little monster. But you actually participate in raids. So this is going back to an element I think I pulled from Lineage 2, like castle sieges. So in Lineage 2, you have to get your guild together, and you get hundreds of people, and you siege castles. And initially, you're taking them from NPCs, but later on, you take the castles from other players that are player held. And it's these kind of large-scale social activities that will earn the INF currency. So this is the way we get around the farming of it, right? Like farming is not necessarily a bad thing if by farming it, you're playing the game. And I think this kind of solves that problem, because if people do come to farm it, then they're actually participating in the world events and being a part of that content for the real players. So this is kind of our mitigation strategy for that. The other part that's that I wanted to touch on is the NFT part. So I think like NFTs are also, they have a bad rep because of a lot of the shitcoinery around them. But I think in the gaming arena, it does make sense to have NFTs, especially if there is a player-to-player trade element. So just making something an NFT for the purpose of having it as an NFT, it doesn't really make that much sense. But for us, it's a very mechanical reason. We need the ships to be NFTs also on the Liquid chain, because the game currency, INF, is on the Liquid chain. And what we want is for peer-to-peer trade. Yeah. So players to be able to trade their ships for the INF currency. And all of it is just a player-driven economy. So you earn the INF tokens by playing the game, and your ships are leveled up over time. So in essence, if you have INF and I have a ship, and you want my level 99 ship, you're just trading for my time by your time earning the INF currency. So that's the reason behind having everything as an NFT in the game. And I think that answers the other question too. Like, can I take it out? And the answer is yes. Like, all this stuff can be taken out of the game and put into any Liquid wallet, any wallet that supports the Liquid network.
That's crazy that you could essentially make money in the game and then convert that. Could you convert it from Liquid to Bitcoin?
Yeah, if it is listed on an exchange, then it is permissionless. So when you create your account, your Infinite Fleet player account, you're generated a web wallet. And when you earn the INF, it goes directly to your web wallet. So it's completely non-custodial. A lot of Bitcoin principles here in ethos. So, given that the currency is sent to your wallet, it's in your control. And if exchanges, or let's say a swap service like SideShift or SideSwap supports this, then you could swap it with anything.
And it's crazy also because it also defeats the narrative of essentially building another chain to kind of get the utility of all of this is built on top of Bitcoin, right? Because Liquid is built on top of Bitcoin. And I forget the name of your currency because it's the interplanetary something, but that is also built on Bitcoin. It's kind of like it's a sidechain, what you said, right?
Yeah, exactly. It is a Bitcoin sidechain, so I would say everything is on Bitcoin. So Liquid is a fork of Bitcoin. The fork itself is called Elements, and the network is called Liquid. But underlying everything is the Bitcoin code base. Liquid is just Bitcoin extended with more functionality. Liquid had SegWit before the Bitcoin network had SegWit, and we're probably going to have Taproot before Bitcoin has Taproot. So in a way, it's like a forerunner of R&D tech that will eventually make its way to Bitcoin. And the cool thing about the Liquid network too is any Liquid asset. So we have USDT. Recently, they just issued another 20 million USDT on the Liquid chain, I think because Ethereum is shitting the bed. But all these different liquid assets, USDT, LCAD, there's a JPY stablecoin, the INF currency, all of those can actually have Lightning networks spun up on top of them if there's enough liquidity. And this is still theoretical and in R&D. We have Lightning networks functionality for LBTC, the native token of the Liquid network, which is Bitcoin basically. But every liquid asset can also have its own Lightning network too. So INF could, if everyone in the world has a bit of INF token, then they can have their own Lightning network. If there's enough people holding Liquid USDT, they can have their Lightning network too.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Very, very interesting. Man, I'm so excited to see all of this take shape, and I know it's going to happen very relatively soon. So it's super excited. But anyways, moving on to the last piece of news. It's very interesting. I definitely want to get our guest takes on this. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. So as you guys know, as you guys have been seeing, the money supply has gone absolutely crazy. We know they are printing an absurd amount of money, but what is actually really interesting, and I'm going to share this video in a second, is that the mainstream is also noticing as well, right? Here is, the famous Tucker and a couple other surprise people.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, consumer prices rose in March at the fastest pace in 9 years. Now, the New York Times told us, don't be misled. It's not real. Inflation's not real. But here are the numbers. Gasoline prices rose over 9% in a single month. Everything has gotten more expensive, pretty much. The price of eggs increased by almost 5%. Major appliances by almost 15%. Fresh fruit, 5.6%. Ground beef, 5.5%. Propane, kerosene, firewood, 16%. To heat your house. Also up 16% is the median sales price of existing homes.
Right. I like to call this a blizzard dream. We don't know whether there's inflation, deflation, hyperinflation, hyperdeflation. Many of our guests say it's inflation and it's heading for hyperinflation. Others say it's deflation and it's going to head to hyperdeflation, or it's deflation and heading to hyperinflation.
So look, the Fed is telling us one thing, right? And I think their official metric for inflation right now, let me pull it up real quick. Right now, they're telling us that they project that for 2021, the inflation rate is going to be 2.26%, right? But as of course, the legendary Tucker Carlson has pointed out, asset prices are not reflecting that. Housing prices, what he said, are like up 25%. The stock market is just it just doesn't make sense anymore. But at the same time, what Stacy was pointing out is why, no one knows what's going on. It's like we're in uncharted territory. So Phil, what are your thoughts? And I want to get our guest thoughts. Is there inflation? Is there going to be hyperinflation? What's going on right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's kind of difficult, right? We've got all these different mechanisms at play, but one thing we do know for certain is that there is definitely a lot of money printing. We know that we've printed, I believe it's over 70% of the of the total U.S. current money supply in the last year. So that is going to have its effect. What they're talking about, the prices at the pump, the prices at the grocery stores, I am noticing that myself as well. So I don't think that it's just a coincidence. I don't think that it's just some type of, outlandish idea, that it's, let's say, coming from somewhere else. I don't know where they get that number about the 2%. I mean, let me rephrase that. I know how they make up that number, okay? But I don't know how they just sit there and say it with a straight face, because these same people are going and buying groceries themselves. They're paying to heat their homes themselves. So how do you even make that up?
And that's the thing that's going to hurt people the most, is how much you're paying at the pump and how much you're paying for food, right? Those are like two major, expenses that you have. But anyway, Sams, what do you believe? What's going on with the world right now?
Well, it's hard to say, but I remember reading something Michael Saylor wrote, or it was a podcast he was on. He was saying, he estimates real inflation is somewhere between 15 to 20%. But, the numbers the official numbers that are released don't really reflect that. But it doesn't really matter. All that matters is that the game is rigged. The fiat monetary system is rigged. And it doesn't matter to what extent it's rigged. It's rigged. So just opt out and buy Bitcoin. that's a simple solution. Like there's no point to like dig in and analyze this. It's a broken system that's heavily corrupt and incestuous in nature, and like there's no point to figure out, is it 15 or 15.1? It's just broken, so just forget it. Like, just leave it and go to Bitcoin. It's a simpler solution. Like in Bitcoin, we can run the numbers. System, there is no way to run the numbers. It's impossible. It's like trying to measure something with a rubber ruler. You can stretch the ruler as you wish, but with Bitcoin, it's like an iron ruler. The units, the sats, the bits, or whatever, they're all immutable. You can't change that. You can't fudge the numbers like you can with the fiat system.
Man, that is, I'm going to answer that exact thing. I'm going to watch it in the video. That's exactly what I'm going to tell everybody when they ask me about inflation, man. But it's true. Like, you know, like, why care? Just opt out for an honest, better system, and that is Bitcoin. Phil, that being said, there was an awesome website by Pleb. Why don't you show everybody?
Websites by plebes or plebs. All right, so the website that we're looking at is entropyseal.com. And this is some pretty cool stuff, okay? They've got some, it looks like you can 3D print this. And if I understood this correctly, okay, you could essentially put your hardware wallet in here, and it looks like they're going to have an app, and you take a picture of the grains inside the case, and essentially it can tell if it has been moved. So it's really cool. These guys are, you know, like, they're just starting this. They're looking for funding. It's Bitcoin. They're Bitcoiners. Anyways, really cool stuff. Entropyseal.com. Check them out. The link is down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, that was our show. But before we go, I want to give a shout out to our guest. And of course, that is Samson Mow. You could follow him. I'll put his Twitter down in the link description. And of course, he is the CSO at Blockstream, the CEO of Pixelmatic, the creator of Infinite Fleet. You should definitely check it out. It's an epic sci-fi MMO strategy game. And take command of a fleet and fight for humanity now. We will put also that link in the description. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this show, don't forget to smash that like button. Smash it, smash it, smash it. Yeah, and of course, if you want to continue hearing the news from the Bitcoin Pleb perspective, definitely consider subscribing. And of course, the catastrophic daily fail by the PhD fiaters and shitcoiners. I'll see you guys the next time.